where hopium and common sense collide. Starring the CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome to Debate Crypto. Crypto fam, it's your boys, CryptoKeeper, BlockchainCrusader. And listen, I feel like I don't even have to introduce CVO because he's on here every Thursday for TA Thursday. Guys, we are excited. We're gonna get into some you guessed it, technical analysis tonight. Miguel, Paul, how you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
Always good, man. Thanks for having me back.
Anything exciting going on over your way, Paul? We know what Miguel's got going on. He's taking care of the newborn. What you got? Anything exciting going on, Paul?
We just Magic Internet Money and I and another analyst I partnered up with 2 months ago. We just launched the new Discord.
Nice.
Called Leading Crypto, and we've been kind of porting everybody over from my Telegram group to that, and kind of
what'd you call it? Leading Crypto.
Yeah, it's called Leading Crypto. Yeah, it's so it's going to be utilizing the leading tools in the crypto sphere, so to speak, and creating tomorrow's leaders today, I suppose. But it's pretty neat, and it's been a lot of work actually. It's odd how much difference even though like Discord, another communication platform similar to pretty much anything else, it takes like a hot minute to get everything like organized and settings and this and that. Right. But once it is there, it's super fluid compared. So
yeah, it's definitely different. But for those of for the people that are in the chat, whether they're on TikTok, YouTube, whatever, how can they find your Discord if they want to get involved, they want to be a part of the group, and how do they do that?
You can find it in my bio on TikTok. It's just right in there's a link there, and then also in pretty much any of my YouTube descriptions on my channel there.
And we can just drop it in the bottom. After this video, we're going to be putting it in the description of this video.
Well, we have all of his. Well, we didn't have the Discord, his regular stuff, but I'm guessing that now it's going to be a different link, right?
Yeah, Discord link.
Yeah. It'll be different now.
Yeah. So at any event, Crypto fam, smash up the likes. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to CVO. He's got YouTube, right? He's also got obviously TikTok, and then if you guys are looking to get more and more involved with him, he's got his Discord, as we were just talking about. But smash the likes, share the stream. Let's see how many people we can get to share this stream out tonight. We never ask you guys to share, but we'd love for you guys to share out the stream. We want to teach some people how to execute some good, positive, winning trades. And how do we do that? By learning about TA, right? And by—
I thought you were going to say by just counter trading you.
Yes. Well, that was working, but recently, listen, Paul, you'd be proud of me tonight.
Didn't you just put a short on Bitcoin?
Hold on, Kimosabi. I talked to Magic earlier, and he essentially was talking to me and saying what would invalidate my short. It happened, and guess what I did? I exited the trade. I took a small loss, and I said, okay, it's time for the next one, right? And so actually, I guess I'll be 50-50 overall. So I've lost. I've made money overall, but I have won half of my trade. So I'm starting to understand that it's okay to take the L on the small side because it didn't work out the way I wanted to. Whereas before, what I would have done is said, oh, well, exactly. Pick up the shovel, dig in the hole and keep digging.
Doubling down at the
just dropping. Yeah, exactly. So let's start off real quick with a market watch here, and then we'll jump into the TA as always. We've got over on the cryptocurrency charts, we have global crypto market cap 1.67 trillion with a T. We're down about 2% over the last day. Actually, let me update this, make sure that's right, because sometimes it moves around. Okay, yeah, down a little bit less than 2%. Bitcoin pretty flat at about 37.1. That's actually a move up from earlier today, though. It actually was down at almost, I think, a flat 36. ETH pretty flat, 26.79. ETH is held really strong. You can see it's up 12.86% on the week. Tether holding strong at $1. BNB still not back up at 400 at 370. Solana has taken an absolute beating, up 13% on the week, but Solana just absolutely hammered some people. XRP, being a beautiful.
They just lost like $320 million.
Well, that never helps.
Which definitely took a beating to the price.
Yeah, but hey, listen, having a hack like that and they're still up on the day, I mean, that should tell you at least something. They've got
it tells you how centralized it is.
Yeah, that's probably actually a very fair statement. Terra Luna up about 8%, and then Polkadot rounding out the top 10 up about 2%. Now let's click on over to Market Cipher real quick. Let's take a little look see at what Market Cipher's got to say about what's happening in the charts, and then we'll let CVO, the man, the myth, the legend, tell us what's really happening in the charts, right? So over on Market Cipher, we are on the hourly right now is not actually, I was looking at, I was doing some trading stuff. So I really don't want to show you the hourly because it isn't going to help me very much right now with what we're trying to do. Let me show you the 4 hour, first of all. 4 hour. Here we go. Anything crazy? We had a red X about a day ago that, generally denotes downward movement. And as you can see with the MACD was headed down. We actually have a little bit of momentum moving back to the upside. As you can see, RSI sitting, actually we're about to have a bullish cross on the RSI right there. We're at about 47 there. And then we have a green dot on the 4 hour down here on Market Cipher, which is always a good thing to see. And then let's move over to the daily real quick and check this out. On the daily, guys, we have a little bit of, could I call this a rising trading channel, albeit Paul, that it is not a hugely upward trajectory type
I'm just gonna say that channel looks anemic, bro.
Listen, we are looking for, here's what we're looking for, guys.
We're drawing straws on that one,
bro. Boom. Boo! That's where we're headed, right, baby? We want to go this way, up and to the right. That's where we want to head. So, Paul, let's get the man that actually knows these charts on here. What are you seeing right now, man? Because I've been telling people, so is Miguel, but I know especially I have, that I'm just more unsure right now of what's going on than ever. And I hate feeling that way because I feel like a lot of times I have a great confidence about life, about crypto, about just things in general. And I don't about crypto, at least for right now. I don't know. So what's going on?
That's always the best time though, man. Like, you know how that goes in a sense, right? If the people that are in it every day are feeling uncomfortable, then yeah, it's definitely about to be that time. First off, the 60-year-old smoker from Jersey Bitcoin voice that we got on your TikTok today was, or I don't know if that's today or not, but that was epic, and I think that you should perform every bit of content going forward in that method.
You know what? I actually have plans for not just Bitcoin, but we have XRP. Got a little game plan there. We've got ETH. We've definitely got some plans for not just Bitcoin. But thank you. I thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Oh man, that's funny. I'll go ahead and share my screen real quick. All right, so like I said, over the last few months, man, I really switched a lot of my strategy into utilizing volume, into incorporating volume, I guess, right? Because previously, basing things off of just like the general tools that pretty much everybody uses, right? RSI, patterns, this and that. To an extent, a lot of it just we got caught up in so many. This is just such a position where sometimes, like for example. I'll give a good example here in a small sense, right? So get to a level like this, you get a really big pullback. You got this wick down here, which you could fill, I suppose, but down here on a daily time frame, you're oversold on your RSI. So many, look to this like, okay, we're really oversold. We're pretty much expecting a bounce at some point. You can draw a little trend line here, and you get a little break out of your RSI here, right, so to speak. So you see this, and you get really excited, thinking we're going to go on a pretty massive run. And along the fact that you have, you could probably draw out a falling wedge or whatever in this region here that looked like a breakout, blah, 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 obviously it just kept like rolling over. So, you know, that's one of the things that, like I said, like, and I'll shout this dude out till blue in the face, right? I was talking with Magic Internet Money, man, who's like another just great analyst and trader for a while, like probably since the beginning of 2021. We'd gone back and forth. He, you know, super small creator at the time, you know, but his analysis is just on point, man. So we started working together, and I started kind of implementing some of his strategy into my strategy and this and that, and just gonna take a look at some of this, right? So we're looking at, you know, here, kind of how you just drew a moment ago, right? It's probably what everybody's paying attention to. And this is the daily time frame. So I'll maybe zoom this in a bit to a 4 hour. But like Miguel says, kind of anemic, right? If you look at this kind of rising channel, you got a deviation here. You could maybe look at this like it already broke to the downside, you know, fake out to the upside up here. So, I mean, it's really not that clean, right? So, while this could hold true, I guess, in the sense of, you know, this rising channels are generally a bearish pattern, break to the downside, and you get these moves like this, and you come back up and you get a bearish retest, and down you go. So that's something that, you know, you could kind of, I guess, keep an eye on. But like I said, it's just so, you know, sloppy in that aspect. You'd really want to, you know, broaden this out a bit, even if you like pulled this down here. But then, like you said, like it's just very odd to see the shape of this, so to speak.
Wouldn't that also be a bear flag there, Paul?
Yeah. Could be, yeah. But once again, it's just like very, it could definitely be a bear flag, right? Like or viewed that way.
It's just kind of deformed. There's no way you can actually draw a clean pattern on it.
I mean, you can. I mean, like this could be looked at like that, but yeah, it's just you know, to me, it's not necessarily as, you know, clean in that sense. But you know, if that was the case, right, you'd be looking at like $27,000 Bitcoin on a target there, depending on how you pull it. So this is one of those things where this is very subjective, because you could also say we already broke down, and you know, now we're, you know, pulling it from this area, and that puts us at about 28K. Stuff like that, right? So that
you heard it here first, guys. CVO calling Bitcoin for 28K.
The $28. He said $28, I think is what he said.
Yeah. Well, crypto face, you know, he's going for the $0, right? So that's one method to look at it, right? So now I'm going to look at, you know, we've been looking at the ranges, right? So that's another big key factor to Bitcoin, and especially as Bitcoin gets bigger in market cap, right? You're not just shooting straight up anymore like we did in 2013 and even in 2017, right? You know, at this point, things are getting different, things are expanding, things are taking longer. And I think it's, you know, everybody can pretty much agree, right, that we go through, you know, just elongated periods of sideways price action, right? Almost 80% of Bitcoin's price action is spent basically ranging, right? You spend a lot of time just going off to the side, and you get one big burst, either up or down. So kind of trying to utilize, you know, and kind of determine where those levels are is something that I've been working a lot on too. So we're going to take a look, right? So this current monthly range that we're in right now, right, looks like this. All right. And once again, so something completely different that most people pretty much, you know, may not be looking for. You've got essentially your range lows right here, your range high right here. And we're kind of hugging the low, and similar to how, you know, up here, you're kind of hugging the high. Generally speaking, when you kind of consolidate at resistance, usually you get a move to the upside. The same goes on the downside here, right? We're consolidating right on support, which could lead to another move to the downside, right? We saw the same thing up here, basically, where we essentially, this was another range at the time, and we basically consolidated right at the bottom. Similar to this, granted, we kind of got there a different way this time, and then we basically broke to the downside. So something to keep an eye on. However, these range lows also, you know, act as really decent support also. So it's kind of something where now you want to start looking for some other things to kind of gather what your idea here is going to be, because, you know, we could actually just hold this and run to the top of the range, right? So that puts us back at about, you know, $45,000 realistically.
Yeah.
In between there, we got, you know, some milestones. So we'll take a look at that. Taking another look at, let's see here. When we fell back out of this the other day, right, we kind of plowed through and we were holding pretty well at like 38,000. And then when we dropped back into a prehistoric range, if you're going to call it that. But this is a range from last year, basically last summer. And we were holding above it. So at the time, we could have, if this was held, you could have really, started looking to the upside here. We didn't necessarily get that. So we fell back into this range. So this is one of those things, we're kind of in a range within a range. So really paying attention to the levels that we're at right now will kind of dictate where to go. If we lose the levels that we're at right now, we do have this volume level coming in right here. This is the point of control. We went over that last time. This is basically the highest level of trading activity that occurred during this time frame. And like I said, this is back from last year, this range here.
What's that at? About 35.8, something like that?
It's 30, yeah, right about 36, 35.8.
Okay.
So that would be a pretty big level that I'd be looking for right there if we do drop from where we are now, which is, I mean, that's about $1,000. So I mean, it's in the realm of where we've been just bouncing around for the last few weeks anyways. Yeah. But do note that basically, after this, there's some, bunched up support right here, but there's really nothing in the short term, right? And then from here, you got the range low coming all the way down here. And when you enter these ranges, essentially, you're going to oscillate through them, right? And this is kind of how you look at it. You're going to, until it breaks fully. So at some point, one of these is going to break. So
what do you consider when you say until it really breaks fully? Are you talking about it basically through a daily close? You talking about, is it dependent on what you're actually looking at? Do you have anything in particular that you look for on that?
I mean, until we really leave it, right? So this is the thing in this aspect, or for example, you come back into this range, take a trade idea here. You could essentially, take a short at this position, put your stop loss basically above this high, because if we do when we leave this range, it's usually like this, right? So this was a range previously, and we basically just melted right through it. This day, this is a 4-hour candle, but basically right here, this is that 39K level, right? We had a daily close right below the range low. We came back and we retested it, and then we just shot straight down. Right. So that's one thing, but it's, you don't necessarily know, right? So it's like one of those things where you you can trade this range until it breaks. And the idea of that is that you get involved around the highs and the lows, you put stop losses in place. And at some point, one of those highs and lows is not going to hold, and it's going to rip to, go back to the upside or go to the downside here. But anyways, this is what I, would pay attention to right now. So the levels that we're looking for to basically reclaim, to start looking for some more upside, essentially come in at right here. This is 39,800, give or take. This will enter you basically back into this previous range right here. But more importantly, this level right here is a 2-year key level. So this is actually the average of price for the last 2 years of Bitcoin, going back. So this is a really big level to get back above and hold, to start looking for some upward positions here. 42K, has a lot of things stacked at it as well. But in a simple idea here, just to look for, what I'm paying attention to at least is getting above this 2-year level right there, about 39,800. Let's see. Now on the downside, that's a super easy way just to kind of look for the upside there. That's to me, that's my confirmation going higher, right? On a bigger time scale. Depends on how you're trading, right? If you're actively day trading and all this and all that, obviously you're catching some of these smaller moves. On a macro level, if you're just checking your portfolio on your phone every day, that number you want to start seeing on there is at least 39.8 to start looking for continued upside from here. Now to the downside, however,
which at the point you're at 39.8, I mean, wouldn't you realistically? I know, obviously that's the level, but at the point we're at 39.8, these big numbers always come into play. Aren't we essentially saying, hey, listen, we need to close above 40? Because if we keep getting rejected at, between 39.8 and 4, it just seems like when we get to those big even numbers, they're always something to compete with, or they're always something to bounce off of.
Yeah, I mean the big even numbers usually are just psychological like just where people stack their sells or their buys, right at 40K, right at 50K, right at 30. Like right now, everybody's looking for 30,000, right? If you're looking for a low level, if we drop to 31K, not many will buy that, right? Like they're gonna pick up, or they're gonna wait, in hopes of getting that one extra $1,000. So these are the doomsday levels that Magic and I have been talking about for at least 6 weeks now, basically going back to this Christmas high. I think that was Christmas, right? Yeah, Christmas Eve. That's January. But going back to this Christmas Eve high, right, as we hit that 52K and then dropped from there. these were the levels that we'd been looking for. Once again, these are volume targets, right? So this was a monthly point of control, basically, and then you have a weekly level here as well. And then this was the idea here, like if you don't hold these levels, this would be the, a big next area to watch out for. But once again, it's just, this can turn around at any of these key levels here. There's also a couple other volume targets in between. This is a big one right here, as this is actually the golden pocket, basically, from the Corona dump. I don't know if I can say that on here or not, but this is basically the golden pocket from the 2020 crash all the way to the 69K high. That puts it right there between 26 and 28,000. Now, there was also a golden pocket like this at 24,000 back when we were at 65, when we dropped in July, and we never hit it. So that's what, it doesn't have to be hit by any means. But these two coming in, just the fact that we're so close to these, which this one's already been hit. So technically we could take this one out. I just leave it here because just to show how we actually came down and tagged it. This other one right here, this weekly level, right? This is a 32,192. I could totally see us coming down to here. This would put in another lower low, right? And that's the thing. Everybody focuses on these short, small, lower lows and, breaking this. And then you see, like, for example, we got this lower low right here. And I guarantee you a lot of people were looking to short this going lower at the time, right? And then we see how we reacted. So if we come back down, we make another lower low than this level right here, which in theory, just taking out this volume target to the downside, and start running it back up, something that's totally on the table. And when you can really start forgetting about all these lower targets is just when we clear above that 39.8 and start holding and moving up to the upside there.
Okay. So, okay. One of the things, and I guess I want Miguel to kind of go further into this, but one of the things that I always have struggled with, Paul, is with actually, you know what, Miguel, we've had this conversation. You go ahead and tell him what I was about to say. What was I about to say?
I don't think I'm a mind reader, but if I am developing these powers,
let's see what you got.
I think that you were gonna say something about TA versus on-chain metrics.
Ooh, so a mind reader, bro.
So, so I'm glad that I was right. So CVO, what would you say to the fact that, to the question of, if someone would tell you, do you think that TA has led the majority of the crypto space awry, right? This misled them to the Moses going through the 40 years in the desert, can't find the promised land for 40 years. Are we being misled through TA?
Did you just basically, I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. Did you just compare a biblical, one of the most important biblical characters of all time to technical analysis in the crypto market?
I mean, I just want to say, great character. I mean, great person, right?
Great character.
Awesome. But terrible navigator of the desert. I'm just gonna say, terrible navigator.
What is the question? Did TA make everybody go wrong or something?
Has TA led people astray?
Yeah, astray. Has TA led people astray, right? TA has put an emphasis on people. A lot of people jump into the crypto space, and first thing that they do is they look for somebody that does TA, and then they invest based off of what they see these videos of TA, right? Up, down, sideways, so forth, versus instead of investing because of fundamentals, right? When people invest in stock markets, right, you look at the company, you look up the fundamentals of the company, what their balance sheets look like, what kind of technology or what type of advancements they've been doing with their company. Versus in crypto, it's kind of backwards. Everybody just focuses on the TA of the up or down short term. So
Paul, if you wanna tag in, since we're teaming up on you here, if you want to tag Magic in, go ahead and copy the link that I sent you, send it over to him, and if he wants to jump in here too, I see him saying they misled themselves. Let me roast this. You can copy and paste, and we'll give it a second. We'll let him come on in here because I'll be interested to hear from both of you what you think. If you do want to jump in, Magic, and Paul's got at least a tag in here on something, so feel free, bro, because I am interested, and you know what, let me see what, are you sending that over to him to see if he wants to jump in for a second?
Oh yeah, you ain't
Okay,
ready
cool.
for it. You ain't
So
ready for it though. He he might not be able to though. But anyways, so it kind of goes back to what I just showed you a second ago, though, right? How we were looking at that falling wedge, and the RSI and all this, and I will say this, right? And coming from, once again, I've taken a lot of time the last 3 months to up my strategy and my analysis game, so to speak. And like I said, looking into these volume targets, man. It is a game changer, and it gives you like the other day when we fell down to what I just showed you, right? I'm gonna share the screen again. When we fell to 33, whatever, 32.9 essentially, was the majority of the market absolutely terrified at that point? You bet, right? Like, and once again, you made that lower low, and I guarantee you, everybody, I'll chop this up, right, to make it look like what we saw. You're talking, right, straight from 39K down, you get a little bounce, but you come down here during this day right here. This is a 4-hour time frame, but guarantee you people were stacking shorts or panic selling, hoping to buy back lower, right? And for us, like I said, these two targets right here, and I'm not going to claim, like, I'm not going to say that I, went through and found these out. Like this was, given to our group essentially from Magic on his first. We have these, the Wednesday night, Sunday night exclusives in the group. And when we were running up to these levels right here, we were looking for this basically fake out, right? And then from down there, these targets came into play. They were on deck, right? And the key to this was we lost 42,600, I believe. And he announced that right in the group, right as it happened. We shot straight down. He came back up, got the bearish retest, came down. We woke up to this the next day. And I mean, while it sucks to see your portfolio down, if you were holding, like if you just didn't, if you're already down so much and you just couldn't bear to sell out with the risk of it not going down to these levels, that's one thing, but you knew about it, right? So it's just a difference when you have that game plan in act. And one thing I think a lot of people do is that they only look up, right? So when we were here, you get this move to the upside, you come back down. I guarantee you the majority of people were looking at this as this was going to break to the upside. You get to this level here, you just constantly only looking for reasons that would give you the upside advantage. And a really good example of this is just the RSI, right? That's one example where people are going to look to this on large time frames, this and that, and you're going to see that we're oversold. As look how oversold we were right here, and mind you, we went lower the next day, right? So it's just, yeah.
So are you saying TA is not leading people astray? Is that what you're trying to tell me here?
If you're doing it wrong, it's leading you astray.
If you're doing it wrong.
So let me rephrase my question to make it a little bit more easily understandable, right? Let me make my question a little bit easier digestible, right? With crypto, in the crypto space, TA has been a very hyper focus for everybody, whether they're brand new or they've been in here long enough. Everyone is looking at charts all the time and doing a lot of their investing decisions based off charts, right? You said before that you don't really focus a lot on fundamentals, right? You don't look at the news, you don't look at what's going on sometimes, right? To focus on your TA so it doesn't persuade you in a different route from what you're seeing on the chart. And the question is, does that lead people in the crypto space, away from what's really happening, right? Away from the adoption that we're seeing in the technology, away from, the fundamentals that is actually building the space up. So regardless of what the TA is saying, it's a good investment in the long term, but yet TA is so hyper focused on short-term trading, getting in and out, right? Everybody wants to get into crypto and then sell as soon as they can double or triple their price. And a lot of people are getting burned. Do you think people should focus more on on-chain metrics or as a combination and not just solely on TA?
I mean, I think that it's just, there's two ways to do this, man. And it is, build a plan off of probabilities by looking at a chart, right? That's all this is. I just gave you the probabilities right now, right? We're going to go through $39,000 and look up, or more than likely, not more than likely, but at the moment right now, you got the downside targets to look to, right? You got 31, 32, and then, if all that goes through, they're 28 and 29 for good reason, right? Not just because it's like, note that on all that, like we just went through all that too. And I didn't say because that was where we fell in July, or that was where, like, these are all based on volume targets. These are, based on and this is all actually based on also macro levels, right? 12-month support and resistances, 3-month support and resistances, this and that. So I agree that most people come in and want to get rich quick, and they're going to go for that quick overnight success. But you can, looking at the chart on a macro level, you can still, utilize this stuff for a long-term play as well. It just depends on what your strategy is. But otherwise, what's the alternative? It's buy, hold, and YOLO. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do otherwise? What's the strategy of buying and holding besides just that, right? Is every holder out there constantly selling their bag when they hear the news that there's going to be a crypto regulations meeting on the 8th or whatever the case may be? Is that otherwise how people would go? Because it's just, it's a risky world no matter what you do in it. It's not the stock market quite yet, as far as the, it's more volatile obviously than the stock market is, but the same tools and resources are literally, what can be used here. So it's just, there's exponential upside and downside to it. So I do agree. I'm sure if some people come in, if they don't know what they're looking at or don't know what they're doing. And also, if even just what I just said, right, this is another thing, is misinterpretation. Because no matter, especially on TikTok, we have a big issue with this, right? You know how much information I cannot get out to somebody in 1 minute or 3 minutes. You know what I mean? You put out this content, this information as best as you can. But if in my 3 minutes I only kind of focus on the one of the two sides, if it's like, oh, you know what, we're looking to break that 3,900 or 39.8, and then we're looking for upside. But if you hadn't watched the 2-minute videos before that stating like what the downside target was, a little bit of the both, and if the only one you come into, and if you're going to base your financial decisions on a 1-minute clip from somebody on the internet, you're wrecking yourself to begin with.
There, you know what? Therein lies. You just said it, right? And that's one of the things so Miguel and I have been focusing more and more on trading, right? We have you on every Thursday, and we've been focusing on that, not because, macro, we are turning into traders, but we want to understand the market as a whole. And I do believe that trading is a massive part of what that can be. For me, my mindset is that trading is a self-fulfilling prophecy, that if enough people are going off of the same and I'm going to say fundamental, it's probably not the word that I want to use there, but basically if enough people are looking at the same chart and looking at the same levels to make decisions, then it's self-fulfilling. And I think that's important, right? But at the same time, the hard part with it is, and this is where it can be just totally frustrating too, is that on both sides of this, right? You can have the most perfect, we had a fantastic Head and Shoulders recently, right? Now, is that going to end up playing out exactly as a Head and Shoulders normally should, right? Well, percentages would tell you, 60% of the time it'll do this. I don't know the exact percentage, but what I'm getting at is there's a lot of times where those numbers, people will go off of that and make their decision just on that. The problem is, so that's frustrating when it doesn't happen the way it's quote unquote supposed to, right? But at the same time, Miguel, and I think this is another thing that we have to remember, dude, just like in the stock market, you can get an earnings call, right? And it is the most, what you would think to be bullish earnings call ever, and the freaking price dumps. And so I think we see that too with fundamentals on the short term. So what I want to say is, whether you think fundamentals or TA are more important, my argument is going to be long-term versus short-term, period. The short-term so hard to buy bottom, sell tops, buy bottom, sell tops. It's fun, it's engaging, and I'm actively trying to do it.
But that's what TA is, right?
Now,
TA is all about short-term.
It's right. And so all I'm getting at is that those short terms, I believe, are much more difficult to grab, but when you do, they're super freaking rewarding. Right. I also believe that I don't know 1/100th of what Paul and Magic know. So when my small brained idea of TA is very limited, right? So they have so much more data sets to go off of. So I'm trying to play, a little bit of both sides here, where I see what Miguel's saying, I see what Paul's saying, and I also see right down the middle of it, kind of splits the two.
I don't doubt TA, right? Obviously, CVO, Magic Internet Money, Crypto Weatherman, and Crypto Face, plenty of other people make tons of money doing straight TA and doing trades, right? Mm-hmm. But they have a skill set that the grand majority of people do not have, not even close, just like you said.
That's what it is, man. And like most people aren't willing to put the effort in, right? So the easy way is to turn on the TV and watch the news and try to think about what could be the reason or whatever, or you just react to when the market drops on you, and then it's because whatever, you know, the news that came out about, right? So yeah, like I said, it's for you to decide, I guess, how you want to go about things.
Well, let me ask you, Paul, what made you, just for you personally, what was it for you that you were like, you know what, like trading is for me, right? Like how did you get to where like that's what you wanted to do? Like, so for me, it's the long-term stacking that I enjoy doing and then talking about the markets. And now I'm enjoying trading as like another little layer of what I'm doing. What was the turning point for you where you said, you know what, trading is what I'm doing, right? That is for me. How did you make that distinction? How did you make that decision?
So XRP pretty much forced me into it because
Let's go, baby.
Right. Well, it was an example. This is a good example though, because, you know, when we ran through the last, you know, bull run, whatever, you know, everything just rallied super hard. Well, then as we kind of started coming down, right, it was like, you know, I made a couple of good moves as far just like maneuvering for long-term holds, right? I wasn't trading, you know, when I first started all this up, but I like basically, you know, a good example, even looking at it right now, and XRP is a good example, Litecoin, some of the older coins in general. I mean, some even just whatever, we could do this probably with multiple, but you know, had you been holding like Litecoin is a good example, but XRP, for example, for last 4 years, right? It's at what, less than $1 still today, 81 cents, whatever. So even if you bought it at $1, 90 cents, 80 cents, 70 cents, whatever, you pretty much are just break even at this point. But within the same 4-year time frame, we have ran up to $1 to $3 to $2 to $1, back down to 30 cents, back up to 90 cents, back down to 30 cents, back up to 70 cents. If you would have collectively took profits around those, you know, time frames, you probably could 10x, 20x, 100x, you know, depending on how good you were. But even just on, say, just on a general basis, if you had a, you know, every time you 50%, you know, rally came about, you took profits and you bought back in or something.
Oh, I don't think anyone would ever doubt. I mean, the most profitable thing you could ever do is to buy bottoms and sell tops. There, I mean, that's just a fact, right? BitBoy has been recently telling people like essentially to take profits here, take profits, where like that's not really what he did leading up until recently. Miguel was talking about this the other day, right? So yeah, that is definitely the most profitable. I guess the real question is,
it's the most profitable, but it's the least likely
the hardest.
It's the
hardest.
Yeah, exactly. It's the least likely to succeed.
I'll be right
for
back.
the average person. For people that are traders and have the skill sets like yourself, you know, the people, 100%. That's the way to go. But it's also very short term. And most people, the problem is that the crypto space has focus, right? When it comes to content creation, we look back at 2017, 2018, there was really no content, right? And the content first started off with a lot of fundamental talk, right? News articles, levels of adoption. But slowly, as we came into 2020, 2021, we saw a big shift into TA, right? We saw Crypto, the Moon Carl really blowing up on YouTube and getting really big, right? And what do? Right? They make 4 or 5 minute videos. Here's the TA, price this way, price that way, and people watch that, and then people go and buy or sell depending on those videos, right? And it's taken people away from focusing on fundamentals of the technology, fundamentals of what the crypto is going to do, and slowly maybe, you know, transition into trading at a slower pace, but not hyper focused on TA, more hyper focused on fundamentals long term, and then doing a small amount of short term trading stuff. There's been the opposite. People have hyper focused on short term stuff and have really put long term on the sidelines, you know.
So, and once again, I mean, this kind of goes into the idea of like, if you're going to be actively trading, you know, if you're going to take a portfolio and invest and risk in this market specifically, prepare to go down 90% at any point. And I think that November to now is a really great example of that, right? B, you know, if you're going to actively be trading, day trading, swing trading every couple of weeks, every couple of months, certain whatever you got, you know, generally you want to have 70% of your portfolio in a long-term hold. And that's just kind of what you know, determine and set for yourself. Is that something you want to hold for 5 years, 10 years, whatever? And then you take the other 30% or 20 or 10, or, you know, start off with 2%. and practice. But you have to, you can't just blindly trade, right? And anybody that does, I mean, even anybody that looks and has some sort of basic strategies, a lot of them don't work, right? Like breakout trading, all these things, like it's very, very, this market is very much designed to jack you up, especially on the shorter term. And that's exactly what's going on right now, right? You're hearing this huge shift. I've been hearing it for weeks and weeks now, right? It's like fundamentals. You guys don't focus on fundamentals or the news around you and this and this and this. And it's like, the fundamentals back in, 3 years ago, what made Ethereum go from $1,500 to $80 over the course of a year, right? Like, it's just they're
the amount of ICOs that was going on.
How would you have traded that, in a sense, if you're just a holder and you're like, you know what, this seems about the time, and this is just the thing. It just weighs on your fear and greed. Like, there's just the two major emotions in this market is just that. And, right now we're at the lows, basically. Does that mean today 33 is the low? No, we could go to that 30 level. We could go to 31. We could go to 28. Who knows? Or 33 was the low. And that's where we're at. We're in a really, big consolidation area, let's call it. But we're at the lows, and everybody's literally running around guessing right now, right? That's really what it all comes down. Even Nick says it in the beginning. He's so unsure of this market. I've never felt more sure about it. Personally, right? But like I said, what did I do also at the end of this, like, little, I was a big advocate for the end of the year being a blow off top and all this and all that. And I won't hide that. I won't lie about it. And, I ran with that for quite a while until it was invalidated. And on December 1st, I came out and I was like, hey, I was wrong. This is not going to happen. Bitcoin was at 60,000 at that point. So it was already down, 15%, but now it's down, 50 plus. But I'm not, I'm very much, feel like I have, am prepared for what can and will happen. And, once again, just in the last 6 weeks, we've been looking for a $33,000, $31,000, $32,000 Bitcoin. 28's on the table for sure. But it's like, will we get that? Probably, maybe not, in the sense of, like, when we start running down back to 31, if we do, right, you're talking about so many people are going to be eyeballing that 30K, just mental level. Just like we're talking about 40K and 50K. And it just, it's just that time frame where, it's, trading is 80% waiting, right? So we're just literally waiting for that next big move. And, at some point here, Bitcoin's going to run it back. And I think it's going to, really surprise a lot of people. And for the first half of that run up, it's going to be a lot of doubt, that this is fake. This is going to turn, it's all that, it's that, what do you call it? Not the, when you get that uncertainty or that falsehood, I guess, when you're watching something, disbelief. That's it. When you just like in September or July, I think it was, when we started running, it was running pretty fast, but it was still slow. I mean, it took July to November to reach the all-time high again. You know what I mean? Like, that's a long stretch. That's about 4 months. Another move like that is definitely on the table, just to run back up, and maybe we don't make new all-time highs, but in the time frame that moves up, man, the market's going to be cooking. To say the least.
So what are you thinking, right? I know we've mentioned the March time frame before, right? We mentioned the interest rate hikes. Do you think that is still going to be that slow grind up until March? Or do you think we're going to have some type of explosive movement going on this next month?
When we get to these positions, and right now, just, I don't know how. It's very similar to when we were at 69K, right? And everybody's looking up to 100 and and kind of to go off on Nick's tangent earlier, where he was like, even though when everybody's looking at one thing, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I think that's maybe incorrect, because everybody was looking for 100K back in December, November, and obviously that never occurred. So everybody was looking for 20K back in July. Obviously that never occurred. So there is some bigger powers that be, the market makers, so to speak. But the run up from here, I still foresee, if we're going to get a massive move, like just a straight run, because we're still getting a lot of people entering longs. Like, the longs are not that they're overpowering the shorts, because the shorts are still kind of like 51%, let's just say. Like, so there's majority are going short, majority keep shorting, but there's still a good amount of longs that are in for this possible melt up that everybody's talking about and everybody's expecting. And when the price is really slow like this, I think it gives a lot of people a lot of time to kind of start thinking, okay, we're going to go up, and they just keep going into it. Whether that happens or not, who knows? But yeah, I think that we're going to get some upward movement here for sure. And not to put any huge focus around this specific date, but it's interesting to note that, in our trading group, Magic's been pointing out some specific fib times, and not to say that it's the specific date that matters. And it's just, a lot of times around there, just kind of similar with the chart, right? When you're looking at a target, sometimes it's not the exact dollar, it's just in that range of area. But on the last date we rallied, it was July 27th or whatever it was. And we had that plan B or whatever it was. What was it?
That plan B event.
The B word. That's what it was.
B word.
B word. Right? Yeah. We
random little meeting, and at the time the market was just down, and everybody really thought that was not going to be. I don't even remember what it was about. I didn't watch it, but that was what was to be said. That was what sparked the market, right? Well, that date specifically coincided with a major fib time level that's literally been like, dating back. It's like, it was like,
are you about to tell me that the moon cycles are true?
No, not moon stuff. This is like
I almost spit out my coffee.
Yeah. Regardless, like even just like putting that aside, but I think that one, every time we have one of these Fed meetings, it is a good example, right? A Fed meeting comes up and everybody gets really worked up and afraid, and are on the edge of their seats watching these 2-hour, 3-hour long government meetings about nothing, and then think that has anything to do with the price action for the time. We got another one of these meetings coming up on the 8th, right? And for the regulations, and I guarantee you it's going to be the nail biter of the century. And if we start moving around that date, it's going to be said that whether it's up or down, right? So whether it's down to that $28,000 level, or we start moving back to the upside, it's going to be said that Fed, whatever that's considered, that Biden meeting is going to be the reason behind it. When in reality, we have a lot of other good indication around that time frame why we could see some good things going on here.
You want to know really what, and this is going to sound really bad coming from a quote influencer, but we just call it like it is here, right? We just literally just speak nothing but truth. I think the reality is what myself, you, and Miguel have done differently, or maybe better than a lot of people that are maybe watching right now, right, is we decided to get into crypto earlier, and then we have stuck with it, studied it, made it our craft, and continued to stay in it. The reality is, though, with all the knowledge in the world, you can have you can literally know every in and out of these markets. The markets still don't care about you, right? So we are still speculating. Now, you have technical analysis that you like to use a lot, and I'm using that when I'm trading, right? And there's percentage, chances that things are going to happen, and that fulfills how it, that works out how it works out, right? We also are able to go off of our fundamental analysis, our on-chain metrics, and all the things that state, hey, this should be happening, right? But that still doesn't play out all the time. So the reality is, right, we don't know. And for all of you watching, right, this is the reason we say it's not financial advice, is because it's freaking not. Any influencer that tells you that they know what's going to happen and they can guarantee you what's going to happen, and I'm going to show you what's going to happen, you should run away from that, because that's not real life. But what we can do is say, hey, in my experience, like Paul's been doing TA for a long time. So when Paul shows you TA and says, hey, look for this, here's a target, right? It's not him saying, hey, mortgage the house, here it is, let's go, baby. It's saying, hey, in my experience, this sets up for this result. And so this is something to look at in conjunction with all of these other things. So I guess I just wanted to reiterate that, like, the reality is, though none of us know, we have a lot of experience to lean on, and we want to share that with you. We just want to make sure that everybody understands that all that experience in the world still doesn't guarantee an outcome. Is really kind of what I'm wanting to get at. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
It definitely makes sense, right?
Hey, don't all talk.
Didn't know if you were waiting on
the
comments to come in.
I mean, it was a long speech, man. There was a lot to
I
digest
know.
there.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, obviously, with that being said, the proof is in the pudding, right? No matter how much education CVO gave you, you kept digging that hole on that ETH position,
That's true.
bringing it down, removing the stop loss, right?
That's
And
true.
That ended up not working out.
That's a really good example, right? And then, like I said, Magic, you can use tools to see how long they'll take to complete their distributions of the expansion phases. He's talking about what I was just talking about with the fib times, right? Because I'm sure, when you brought up the moons, he's probably like turning in his grave. But they're based on accumulation time frames and expansions from those. So, like I said, the going back to the fib time thing, that's what he was bringing up. But when you just said that, there was a time where, once again, leverage trading, for example, is not meant, man. And this is the biggest example right now is if you would have took a long on Bitcoin at $33,000 back in July, right? You got almost the bottom. You cooked it, and you ran it up to 69,000. You had it on 20x, 50x, 100x, whatever the case may be. You would have been up thousands of percent, right? Thinking we're going to 100K or whatever the case may be. Well, look what happened. We came all the way back down. You wiped that entire trade. Yeah. And not only that, I mean, anybody even, holding anything throughout the year obviously lost out on a lot of basically the whole year's worth of gains, within just 3 months. But, when you were asking me about that trade setup I messaged you personally, gave you the whole thing. And it was like a $200 window. And it was like, could go here, here, or here. But when you get to this first one, what I say, I was like,
take some profit.
Take that profit, like make it profitable or break even, and then go from there. And that's where everybody fails, because you get that little taste, whether it's to the upside or the downside. And it's like, okay, everything looks good, because now you got the fear and greed going around you in the market. Now the market looks bullish or bearish, whatever you're dealing with at the time, and you think it's going to go longer. And the problem with these, leverage trades are, over time, from July to November, for example, we went from 30 to 69. But in the 2 days that somebody was trying to leverage trade in between, we also went from 37 to 35. Then, and that's what happens. You get stopped out and wicked out on a lot of these, and the intraday is going to mess you up. And even though, perfect example is Magic Internet Money comes in, I bring them into my trading group. We go over on Christmas Eve or Christmas week, whatever, the first live stream, he comes in and he goes over this exact agenda that, this is a probability. Wasn't stating that, it's guaranteed to happen, but it's very, very likely. And this is why, right? And that's the biggest thing. How many people do you think acted on that once we started getting to the point where it's like this event is going to be triggered, or these targets get triggered or validated or basically on deck, however you want to look at it, you can anticipate them once this occurs, right? If we drop below blank, then you're looking to this, and that's the whole game. It's all probabilities, right? Like and it can always turn around on you. And that's why a stop loss is important, because you get to this level and, a very quick up and down comes out all the time. And then you're immediately back into the old idea of like, oh, now we're going back down. Regardless, most people can't digest that idea and understand that. And it's always, you get the, oh, it could go up, it could go down, kind of comments or kind of, mentality. When at the end of the day, it's either look at the probabilities or YOLO and hold, because I've never met a holder that trades like a boss. So I don't know what the alternative would be in that case. But same thing, right? Getting off tangent, but when we went over this scenario of going down to 33K, 32K for those two volume targets, we were already at 52,000, 51. So we'd already been down. If anybody had been holding still, because you just you fell from 69 to 60, and then you fell from 60 to 58, and then from 58 down to 44, and then you ran it back up to 50, but you were already down so much. Like the fear and greed is overwhelming, and then there's no plan of action. There's no, you just hope that it's going to continue back up and get back to break even or whatever the case may be. And then 2 weeks later, we're down another 30%, and you wish you would have sold at the 30% you were already down 2 weeks ago. And it's just that you'll fail to act on it. Even, it's just going to take experience, man. And you have to be emotionless in that aspect. If you want to try to capitalize on the short-term plays, you got to be willing, man. One of the people I know specifically, XRP was a big one at $2. He would not sell it, anticipating that, once again, we were looking for some higher targets, right? Like we were looking at 8 or whatever, if we got to that $200,000 Bitcoin and whatever. But when push started coming to shove, and it was like, you know, October, even back in October, when it was just really not looking like it was going to have a move at all for a while, guy just held it, right, and held it all the way back down to whatever it is now, compared to anything else. And we were literally at the point when, you know, I was suggesting, I was like, look, I would look to buy back in later, right? Like at least come back or whatever. And if you miss it, then there's another opportunity. And that's another thing people can't get their heads wrapped around sometimes, is that they get so married to a project, right?
Well,
so
it's confirmation bias. They get in their mind like, this is what I want to see, and therefore, like, I'm going to will it into existence, no matter if everything in front of them says, "Hey, this isn't about to happen." I think that's yeah. I'm with you, dude. I feel it. I feel it.
Well, I mean, that definitely happens with some of the lesser tier projects. I mean, if you're talking about top tier projects, the fundamentals there are solid, right? Like Bitcoin's not going to go anywhere in the next 10 years. It's not going to go away. Ethereum's not going to go away in 10 years.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you buy and you might be in a short-term loss, right? You might have a few red days, maybe a few months of red days, right? But with dollar cost averaging in the next 10 years, right? Like it's almost like like I've said before, like a 401k, right? You put money into 401k, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, but you're not really focused on it throughout the scale of time and of accumulation. By the time you retire, you got a $1 million portfolio, right? And
Right.
that's what the traditional system that takes forever to, you know, by 1%, 2%, whatever, you accumulate a $1 million portfolio. With the amount of volatility that the market has in crypto and how early it is in the market, dollar cost averaging in the next 10 years will change your life if you're buying top tier projects.
Yeah. And the thing
I don't
that
know
I
if
think
CVO
a lot of
agrees
people,
with that or not. I mean, I don't know.
I think the problem is a lot of people, we've talked about this before.
Let
They don't
CVO
think,
respond.
they don't think it's sexy, right? It's the trading is sexy, right? So I don't know. Your thoughts on that, Paul?
For 401ks or what
Like dollar cost averaging for the next 10 years on top tier projects, no matter what happens in the short term, you would be making life-changing money.
I would agree. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, it's at 10 years. Yeah. You know, you're probably going to have a decent, you know, but it's going to be like anything else, man. It's a risk. You don't know which one's going to play out, right? If you would have lined up last year, 10 cryptos, you know, Chainlink, Solana, XRP, whatever, you know, Ethereum and, you know, yada, yada, yada. Who would have known that Solana was going to run 280x in 1 year? You know what I mean? And it's just like that kind of, and compared to anything else that really, you know, didn't move, not anything, but there were certain things like I said, like Litecoin or like XRP, some of these projects that have been top 10s for, you know, since existence. You know, so in this 5-year window, you know, they really haven't netted. I mean, if you got in at like $3 and like, you know, negative under a penny for XRP, then yeah, you're good. But if you bought in anywhere in the realm of where they pretty much are, then you're kind of just stagnant. But going forward, yeah, I mean, if you're dollar cost averaging into a project, I mean, it really depends on what it is, you know, you are agreeing with here.
Magic thinks
That's a crazy statement. That's a crazy statement.
Magic thinks you're full of it. Magic thinks you're full of it, Miguel.
I'm gonna tell him right back. I think he's full of it, right? Because saying that no matter what the technology growth in 10 years, that crypto's not guaranteed. There is no way look, let's just go with how slow the government moves, right? With how slow the government moves and getting more involved with Bitcoin and getting more what we've seen with Arizona, right? We're seeing with Russia, we're seeing all these countries going pro Bitcoin, and that's going to eventually bring Ethereum along and all this stuff. With how slow they move to adapt this technology, for sure they'll be here in the next 10 years. They're not gonna adapt to spend 5 years adopting a technology to then drop it the next year, and then in less than 10 years completely have a complete different shift, right? Look how slow it's taking us to go from, you know, from cash to go to, you know, checks to then have credit cards to not have digital money. Look how slow that's taken, right? And now we have Venmo and we have all these cash apps and all these things, all these third-party payments to send money back and forth. Now we have crypto. There is no way that crypto's not around in the next 10 years. That's just just crazy talk.
So I think that and actually, so I'm with you, Miguel, for sure. But I think what's being left out is that we have a couple projects that we can point at now that, short of literally World War, III, and the world war is on crypto, and they absolutely try to shut everything down, which, side note, that would still be damn near impossible. But we do have some projects right now that you can all but guarantee, right, that they are. And so Bitcoin and Ethereum would be two of them that I don't see any way that they don't continue to grow, like you're talking about, Miguel. And maybe, you know what, maybe maybe we have too lofty of goals. We've talked about this before. Like, we underestimate what large movements can happen over a long period of time, and we overestimate how fast we can make something happen in a short period of time. And I think that's where too many people get caught up. They want that life-changing money today, tomorrow, next week, when the reality is there's projects sitting right in front of you right now. When I was talking to my dad about Bitcoin, he was like, I don't have as long of an outlook as you do. I don't know that Bitcoin's for me. And I'm like, where else are you going to be able to 10x your money in the next 10 years? And he's like, 10x my money. And I was like, that's being conservative, and I do believe that's being conservative. Like, where else are you going to do that? I don't know. I don't see any other way around. I don't see, at the rate of growth, at the rate of the technology is moving up and to the right, how we have anything but that happening.
I mean, we've had Jack Dorsey talk about it. We've had Raoul Pal talk about it. We've had multiple people talk about it, right? The rate that the internet was adopted and grew, right? Whatever that was, Bitcoin has literally grown. This network effect has grown twice the rate that the internet has, right? People used to think that the internet was just a fad. People used to think that the TV was not going to be around, right? People literally thought, oh, you're going to put a TV, a box in somebody's living room. Nobody's going to sit down and watch this thing.
Dude, Magic wants to get in on a debate. He's like, I can already see with the comments. Magic, we're signing you up for a debate.
You're speaking zero facts, more bias in the industry, because
we're going to be hitting you up for a debate soon,
dude. Bro. It's not even pro crypto. It's just pro technology. The way technology is growing, there is no way that crypto is going to disappear in 10 years. It's just absolutely not. Right. The way that money has become is going in technology, right? With crypto, there is absolutely zero fact that you can throw out saying that crypto is going to disappear in the next 10 years. Absolutely not.
Debate.
Not even about bias. Right. He can come on anytime.
Guys, listen.
I have nothing against him. I think I've seen a lot of his TA. I think it's great, but that's just crazy talk.
We are scheduling out debates, guys. So Magic just solidified his spot for a debate because I know absolutely what we could talk about, and we could talk about a debate moving forward.
The fundamentals versus the TA, that make Miguel the fundamentals guy
versus TA, and basically what crypto, the reality of the fact that crypto is going to be part of, if not the future moving forward. Blockchain is where we are headed, at least in the next 5 to 10 years anyways. And we're pro crypto. Yeah, we believe in it. But the reality is, even people that don't believe in it are scared of it. And why would they be scared of it? Because they have a mind enough to know, holy mackerel, this is changing life as we know it. And if things are changing, then changing life as we know it, especially our financial system, why would you not get on board? I don't know. So, Crypto fam, if you guys haven't already smashed up the likes, smash the likes. If you guys have enjoyed tonight, listen, usually when we pull Paul on here, I had to step out for a few minutes, so I don't know what kind of chaos happened while I was gone, but we usually pull Paul on here and, just do strictly just kind of TA and go over what's at. Listen, if you guys enjoyed doing some, pulling a little bit of debate this evening, drop a 1 in the chat. If you guys want to see us do more, even if it's not a structured debate, if you want to see more of the debate type questions that we throw out there and kind of pushing on the guests a little bit to get a little bit more of that going on, drop a 1 in the chat, because I enjoyed it. Paul, we didn't make that didn't feel like, all of a sudden you were cornered, or I'm talking about for other guests. That didn't feel like all of a sudden
we usually go this route anyways. We look at a chart for a few minutes and then we just listen to Miguel.
Yeah. And then we just listen to Miguel. Oh, dude. No, thank you guys all for being here. We appreciate it.
This is why I was missed on last week's episode. I bring the energy.
So this is Magic says, I'm not debating for it to disappear. I'm saying that you can say with a fact that you can't say with a fact that in 10 years, you know that they're going to be there and that those appreciation levels are not guaranteed. Yeah. So Magic, listen, we're going to reach out to you. We know how to get a hold of you. We will have you on for
Let's
a debate.
Save it for the debate, my friend.
Yep,
Let's
that's
save
right.
it for the debate.
Just, hey, we will send you out the questions ahead of time. You're just count it, right? You're going to be scheduled. So unless you guys have anything else, I just want to say, Crypto fam, we appreciate each and every one of you. If nobody told you before today, we love you, each and every one of you. Thank you very much for your support. Just as a reminder, check out CVO and Magic, right? You can find them, all the information down below the video, all on his YouTube and also on his TikTok. You can find us, all the information's down below. And just as a reminder, we are on Twitter as Debate Crypto OG. There's a fake account. We've got a contract out on their life right now. But okay, I'm sorry. I can't say that on YouTube. That was a joke. YouTube. Yeah, Debate Crypto OG, guys. The OG is us. Make sure you guys follow us there. So, Crypto fam, we love you guys. We hope you guys have a blessed evening. And until next time, hodl.